All right, guys, we're here at my house in Palm Bay. I just got the Ranger all loaded up. We're on a big warming trend right now. I mean, it's really warm for this time of the year, and you know that's gonna have those fish headed towards those spawning beds, but I don't think they're all gonna be there yet. So I got all kinds of stuff packed in the Ranger today. Man, I got crankbaits, I got Nichols swim jigs, I got lots of net bait plastics, I got salt licks, I got daggers for flipping, you know, the salt licks for casting at lily pads. Like, I got a lot of stuff in the boat right now. I know one thing, the fishing is gonna be good. I just don't know what we're gonna catch them on. So you guys come along. We're going to Three Forks Marsh, Lake Lawton. It's just right behind my house, like 4 or 5 miles away, not even that far. We're gonna go out there and see exactly where these fish are. Kind of bet you they're gonna be in a lot of different places, but I'll tell you what, if they've moved up on those pads and started to spawn, I'm gonna be flinging that salt lick. I'm gonna be jacking on some giants, boys. Come along, let's see what happens. All right, guys, look at that beast. Oh, how much fun is that? These fish are just pulling up, getting ready to spawn on all these little isolated lily pads. You can see all these pads out through here. I'm just throwing that little net bait. Let's let this guy go. Look at here, right back down in the pads. How beautiful is that? Let her go right there. God, it's so much fun. You know, I'm throwing that net bait salt lick. I'm throwing it right up, kind of throw it past these pads, and then you kind of sneak the bait up to it, and they'll spawn at the base of these pads. And this lake we're here today, here at Three Forks Marsh, it's kind of a soupy, kind of mucky bottom. And what you need to do is you need to get as close to the base of those pads as possible, because that base of that pad's kind of a hard spot, and that's what they like to spawn on. So, you know, you just sneak that salt lick right up there, and I felt that old tap, tap, set back, and you saw what happened. Awesome, about a 6-pounder. So real good way to start the day. I think there's going to be some more pad fishing in our future. All right, I want to show you guys my setup for when I'm casting the salt lick. You saw us catch all those fish today. A lot of them were throwing around those little isolated lily pads and stuff. You know, they're pulling up there, just getting ready to spawn. And there'll be a lot, you know, down here in Florida in the Palm Bay area, there'll be a lot of males, you know, the smaller bass that are up there around those beds, you know, at the base of those lily pads and stuff. But there's some big ones too. So the setup that I use, you know, you catch a lot of little ones, but when one of those big ones does bite, because you're gonna catch a few big ones every day doing that when they're spawning or real close to the spawn, I use a 7.6 heavy action Halo TI series, the Ardent C-Force reel, 7-to-1 ratio. I use a 7-to-1 because I cast it up there by the lily pad, let it sink down, wiggle a little bit, let it sit again, wiggle a little bit. If nothing bites it, I want to be able to burn that sucker back in and fire it up to that next lily pad. Now for you right-handed guys, you can use the Ardent Lightning, which is an 8-to-1. I'd be using that, but I use left-handed. We haven't come out with a left-handed one in the Lightning yet, but don't worry, I'm sure we will. 20-pound, I use Sunline fluorocarbon. Like I said, salt lick. Color down here really doesn't make that much difference. I like a 5/0 HD worm hook from Trocar. It just works really well when I'm fishing it, you know, weightless like this, just a regular Texas rig. Slide it down there, slide it back up in. I like it to hang nice and straight, just like that. So I got the 5-inch net bait salt lick, 7.6 heavy action, 20-pound line. And like I said, real important though, past that lily pad, drag it up to the lily pad and let it lay right there. You'll feel that tick. Ha ha! You guys know what to do after that. came flying at that jig and reeled real fast, and I missed him. I threw it back over there, got a backlash, picked my backlash out, freaking whoop-bam! Oh, he couldn't handle the jig. Woo. Big. I mean a big. Look at this guy. Look at that guy! Look at that guy! I mean, he hammered that Swift crankbait, buddy. I mean, ate it. Golly, those trocars, God. Put those number 2 trocars on that Swift crankbait. Look at that beast! Ah, right here in Palm Bay on Florida Space Coast, man. We're not even in one of the lakes, we're just going down one of the canals right now, just throwing a crankbait. Catching them. Oh, this is fun. See what I'm doing on this little spot right here. I got a little, this canal's coming down here, and there's just a little bay right here, and it's got some grass in it. So what I'm doing when I throw up there, my plug runs a little too deep for actually up there, so I'm holding my rod tip high, and that'll let that bait ride a little bit higher, and I can ride it on top of that grass up there. And then when it gets out here towards the edge of the canal, I kind of bury it down like that, get it to drop off the edge of that deal. But instead of trying to throw 2 different baits, just by changing your rod tip, you know, I got this is a 7, just like that, it's the 710 Halo cranking rod, and like I said, you might as well use it, use the rod, you know, like that fish hit way up there on top of that grass, and if I wouldn't have been holding my rod tip up, you know, I wouldn't have been able to, my plug would have buried down, and he's not a real big one, my plug would have buried down in that grass right away. But by holding that rod tip up, guess what? Not a big one, but I got me another bass. There you go. That was a perfect example of that right there. Just like I was talking about, you're jerking it through that grass and jerking it through that grass. And I popped it free of that thing, and I mean, and he ate it, boy. Didn't eat it good, he's only got 1 hook. Now he's got 2. Now he's got 2 trocars in him. He didn't get it good, but guess what? He got it good enough. Yeah, boy. It's like I was saying, I was holding that rod tip up and jerking that rod, you know, jerking that plug out of that grass, and at one time and he just tackled that thing. Still got a little bit of grass on the back of it. That's fun. It's putting a lot of action into the bait, but man, when they clobber it, oh golly, do they get it. There he is. That might be a good one, boys. That might be a good one. Oh, he's got me in a lily pad. He's out. He's out. Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, we're going around this. We're going around Red Robin's barn, boys. I'm talking about a Palm Bay bruiser. I mean a Palm Bay bruiser. Oh. Oh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yes! Oh my goodness. What a beast. Holy crap. I mean, just a total giant. Holy crap. Oh, now let's let her go. Let's let that beast go. Look at that. Look at that absolute beast. I'm telling you, I threw that plug up there and she throttle bodied it. Holy crap, was that awesome. Hung up in lily pad. Oh, I gotta catch my breath. If you don't have a good heart, don't come down to Palm Bay on Florida Space Coast and fish, because if you have a bad heart, it's gonna be a worse heart when you get done. Because dude, we got some giants down here. Man, we've had a heck of a day out here in Three Forks Marsh in Palm Bay on Florida Space Coast. You know, and I showed you guys earlier in the video the setup that I was using for my salt lick when I was casting around those lily pads earlier down in the south end of the lake. And then we kind of got in that canal and I started catching them. You saw me catch that one great big one on the prototype Swift crankbait. For that setup, I was using a Halo 710 cranking rod. It's a medium heavy. You know, a lot of guys like a 7-footer, or, you know, we also make a 7.4, Halo does in the cranking series. I like the 710. I'm a tall guy. I like to be able to really swing it and whip it out there and make a real long cast. You know, a lot of times when you're cranking, you know, you're making really long casts and stuff. I was using an Ardent 6.5-to-1 Apex Elite reel. I really like it for cranking. I like the 6.5-to-1 for cranking. A lot of guys like to crank with those real slow reels at 5-to-1. I don't buy it. That's not me. I was using 16-pound Sunline. Like I said, got those big 2-aught trocar hooks. That's a big crankbait. You know, I put those big, not 2-aught, number 2 trocar face stabbers on it. That was the setup for the crankbait. And then we got out here on the flats, and man, we caught a bunch of fish out here. A couple decent ones too, but just a lot of fish out here on the flats. And I'm throwing a Halo Kryptonite. This is a 7.2 heavy, and I like a long rod. I'm not a big short rod guy, but this is one that the guys at Halo gave me. They just want me to try it out. You know, that a lot of companies don't make shorter rods, you know, 7-foot, 7.2, and a heavy action rod, but you know, Halo does in their Kryptonite series. Dude, it's worked awesome for casting around, you know, in this really thick stuff. Got 50-pound braid on here. I got a 7.3-to-1 Ardent Grand on this one. I like the 7.3-to-1 when I'm throwing a swim jig. So many times, and it happened a couple times today, so many times them fish will come up behind it. We call it pushing it. They'll come up behind the bait, eat the bait, and then continue coming to you faster than you're reeling. You get slack line. So that 7.3-to-1 gives me the ability to be able to get up that slack and really set that hook home. And but man, the star of the show out here on the flats was the 1/4 ounce Nichols swim jig. And I had a couple different trailers. This one is the 4-inch Paca Slim, black with just the blue tips on it. And of course the Nichols swim jig color is JT's best color ever, because why wouldn't you use it if it's the best color ever? I also used a Paca Chunk in black and blue on the back. Got a lot of bites on it. I put a Paca Senior in sapphire blue, and they didn't seem to like that as much, but the mostly black with just a little blue in it, they really seem to like that a lot. So man, it's a fun day. I kind of kept track. I got out here, started casting at about probably 9:15 and fished till about 2:30, and I think I'm somewhere around 44 or 45 fish, and that's just me by myself. So you want to talk about having a good time, you guys need to come down here to Palm Bay on Florida Space Coast and check out some of our awesome fishing.